Hey friends, welcome back to the craft room. I'm really glad that you're here. We're going to continue working on our sampler quilt that we've got going on here. Most of these are the Moda blockheads. Some of them I've pulled from, traditional piecing books, just to kind of add something else to this quilt top. I think today we are going to work on this pink. It's a very simple star. I don't think it'll take us that long because it is a pretty basic construction. If we whip through it pretty quickly, I think we'll bounce over to this block right here, which is called a shoe fly block. I think I figured out how to tweak it so that I love it a little bit more. I think this might just be a little bit too simple. Thoughts? Maybe so. I'll leave that one together, and then when we construct something different, we'll put them side by side and you guys can help me decide. Let's go to this pink star. We have done simple stars before, but I think it's a good little addition in here just to have that pink background. It's adding a little bit kind of different weight to this quilt top, and I'm really liking that. First up, we need to make all of these half square triangles. So we're going to need 8 half square triangles to make these points. I have got 2 8-inch squares. I've got the pink and then the background because that's what the points are. We're going to put them right sides together. We want 3.5-inch half square triangle. So this is the 8 at a time method to help us get 3.5-inch squares. Ugh, I always lose my rulers. It's like I unload a bucket and then it just like explodes. I like to think I'm organized until I see this and it's just like, maybe I'm not. All right, I've got my big ruler. I've got my friction marker. Let's draw a diagonal corner to corner this way. We're going to be drawing a big ol' X in these squares. And we're going to rotate. And there we have our X. Can you see that in there? We're going to sew a 1/4 inch to the left and the right of this diagonal, and the same thing for this one. I'm going to breeze through those seams real fast and then I will check back in with you. There we have those seams on both sides. Can you see those in there? So we've just kind of made our little fine X kind of chunky. Typically I use my big ruler here with this big 45 diamond to cut, but let's just say we don't have a big ruler like that, huh? What would it look like if we just had a straight ruler? I mean, this one does have angles in it, but it doesn't have that diamond. So this is an 8-inch square, and we are going to line up the edge of our fabric with 4 inches, and that will give us middle. And I did it way too far away from me, so now I have to bring it back. I love this big ruler, but sometimes it's hard to use because it's so big. Move my mess. All right, and then same on this side. I made sure that I lined those up again so that they were nice and even, and here is our middle. So there you have, there's a straight ruler if you do not have a ruler with a diamond. You don't have to have every fancy ruler in the book, okay? You don't have to. Straight rulers get you a very long way. You don't have to have the squares with all the angles in there. So at this point, now we have 2 at a time half square triangles, and we are just going to trim right on that line. We definitely could have left our quarters together and done a big long cut along that line. I am just trying to spice things up a little bit because I feel like we have done this 8 at a time method quite a few times. So just trying to show you different ways and make it not so mundane, huh? All right, there are our half square triangles. I'm going to go iron all of these open. I'm going to pick a side and I'm going to press that color up and over every time. So we'll do pink this time. We'll press pink up and over on every one of these pieces. I'll be back. Here we have all those half square triangles nicely pressed. Let's talk about trimming on one and then we'll do a cool transition through the rest. This is my 4.5 inch square ruler, which I feel like I use all of the time. This one is pretty beat up in all honesty. Right in there you can see we've got that 45-degree line. We're going to line that angle up with the angle in our half square triangle. Underneath the ruler, we're going to leave a little bit more than 3.5 inches. That way we have something to trim off of all 4 sides. This one is so close. There's not going to be much to trim. But we're going to do the right side and then the top. See, like barely. Then we're going to rotate on our nice clean sides that we just cut and line those exactly up with 3.5 inches. And that angle should line up again because we used it in the first place. And then we trim and oh my gosh. I had some wonky half square triangles today. There's not much to trim off of these. But there we have 3.5 inches, which is exactly what we need for all these star points here. Let me go through the rest and I'll see you in a sec. All right, all trimmed and beautiful. Let's lay this out. So again, these are 3.5 inch points. My middle is 6.5 inches. And then my corners are also 3.5 inches. Let's get this put together. There we go. Little lumpy, but still cute. Something's wrong there. That's what's wrong there. Those are backwards. Let me tell you how I'm going to put this star together. I'm going to work on all of my points first. I'm going to get those pairs sewn together and have those seams spread open. I find that it helps a lot with the bulk down here when we start assembling the stars if those seams are open. And then after all of these points are now at one piece, we'll do 1 row, 2 row, and 3rd row for all of this star to be put together. Let's do the magic smoosh and I'll see you in a sec. Ta-da! Isn't that so cute? Something I love about half square triangles is we very well could have rotated these pinks to be the points. And then if we just would have done a background corner instead of the pink, you could have very easily made this a pink star with the white background. I definitely should have showed you that before I sewed it together. But I just love that about half square triangles. You can do a lot and get totally different looks just by rotating them. So kind of cool. Here is our simple star. I'm looking at our time. We're about 20 minutes that I've been recording this whole time. So I think when I edit and transitions and stuff come out, we're probably only going to be at like 8 minutes. That's my best guess. Clock me on the screen right now. Are we at about 8 minutes? I think I've edited way too long. All right, we're gonna try this one. And if this one ends up being long and boring, then I'm sorry, but let's just give it a go. This is the Shoo fly, which is this guy right here. Like I said, I think it's a little bit too plain. I think it needs just a little bit more something in it. So here was what I thought. When I originally did this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 half square triangles in here. So again, I did the 8 at a time method that we literally just did for this pink star, but instead of an 8-inch square, I did a 10-inch square. So that's a big square, but that'll give us 8 at a time method. And these are 4.5-inch half square triangles. So that's why we really needed that size change. So hear me out for this one. Let me get this together. here's what we've got right now. Okay, 1, 2, well, I mean, I guess you can literally see what I have right now. So here's what I propose. We do a background middle instead. And instead of a full solid square here, we do 2 2.5-inch strips and kind of box in the middle. I do think this would be a good opportunity to change the color of the middle to like the light pink or the tan or something, but I think I'm really wanting this just to be a 2-color block. And I can tell you already that this is more like satisfying for me than this guy. I just think it's too plain. I think there's too much missing all around, but I like this one a lot better. And again, this is another traditional block. I know that I've said it, but we're just going to recap just so I know for sure. 4 half square triangles that are sized at 4.5 inches. These 2 rectangles are 2.5 by 4.5. We'll sew those together and those will be a 4.5-inch square. This middle square is 4.5. And that's it. If you're wanting to do the 8 at a time method and get both of these blocks done, excuse me, at one time, that is a 10-inch square. Yeah. Okay, there's the recap. Let's get this together. I'm going to start sewing all of our strips and then we'll come back after that. There we have those units. And again, I ironed my seams open because I know that at some point they're going to have to be sewn with the bulk of this half square triangle, and it just lays easier, irons easier when we try to reduce that bulk as much as possible. I wanted to show you the back of this star too. So especially right here, I made sure to split that seam and iron it up. You could have left it down, but sometimes I find when you iron, it kind of leaves like a lump or something right here. So personal preference. I know that everyone has their way of ironing, and some people absolutely swear against ironing your seams open, but this is how I do it, and I think everything lays much smoother. So for me, it's good. Let's put this one together. Same exact process as last time, just less pieces, huh? We only have 3 in each row. So those 3, and those 3. What do you think, huh? I think this one fits in so much better than that one. I just think there's just, like I said, just not enough going on in there. So you can leave me your opinion, but I think I've actually already made my decision. But I do want to hear from you. Excuse me, I keep losing my voice today. So tell me what you think about this one. I'm going to show you the back here. You can see all of my ironed open seams. Again, just personal preference here, but I think everything lays down really well. So there we have our 2 blocks for the day. Look at us go. We got 2 blocks done in one day. We're on a roll here. I love both of these. I think that they're very light and very cute and a perfect balance for all of this chaos going on in here. So again, I'll remind you, this is not final layout. We are winging this. Every time I put it up, I try to rearrange it differently to see if I can find something that works. The ultimate goal is to get 5 by 5. So this will be a square. Yeah, well, I'm just going to show you these cuties again because that's all I have to say. We will see you next time, friends, for a new block on Monday. So until then, have a great weekend. Bye.